Peter Parker.
Hey guys, I finally finished the video. It's supposed to come out last year, but I finally done it. You guys proud of me? Please tell me you are.
Great, it's just some random guy.
Hi, I'm Kai. Nice to meet you. 5 years. It has been 5 years since the Switch officially launched. I remember when I got it the month it released. I'm old! Even though the Switch isn't that remarkable of a console, like it's heavily underpowered compared to its competition, and it's lacking a lot of features that should be standard for a console, the games and the concept itself make it something special. And I thought, what better way to celebrate these past 5 years than to talk about my favorite games on the system, my top 10 favorite games on the system, because I'm just that hard-working of a guy. Hey, have you ever heard of a subscribe button? Couple rules for this list. I'm only going to talk about the exclusives on the system, which means no ports from either third parties or Nintendo. Even if they're remastered or they have a ton of new content, I'm still not including them. Also, some games might not be on here because I just haven't bought them. These games cost $60 each, and as an adult, it physically hurts me whenever I buy a full price game. So games like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, WarioWare Get It Together, and as much as it pains me to say this, Metroid Dread, won't be on here. I get it if you're sad, I'm sad too, and I think that's pretty much it. So, Ak, are you comfy in your seat?
Actually, I have been wanting to get
Alrighty then, top 10 Switch games, let's go. Well, that was the most fun 3 months I've had in a while. Animal Crossing was one of those series I never got into as a kid, so I wanted to get into New Horizons when it got announced in 2018. Plus, considering the circumstances of the world, it just seemed like the perfect time to get this game. And when I eventually got it, it was a pretty fun time. And then I got bored of it 3 months later. There weren't that many things to do after you did everything. Like as soon as you got your town to a 5-star ranking, the game's pretty much over after that. But before the game is over though?
God damn!
Dude, being able to create new structures and having new villagers come in every once in a while is the best feeling of this game. And the Nook Mile system helped me stay motivated whenever I had nothing to do. I just kinda wish this game had a little more to it, you know? Like more buildings, more things to do, more dialogue for the villagers so they don't say the same 5 phrases over and 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 over. Okay, so there's this guy who'd show up on my island sometimes, and I'd be able to sell him clumps of weed for profit. And he'd give me way more bells than what I'd get at Nook's Cranny. And the only thing I don't like about him is that he shows up at random times on my island. And then I looked into it online, and found out that in New Leaf, this guy had an entire store to himself. Why can't he just make a store here? And I think of this question whenever any character shows up on my island one day, and then just dips for 2 weeks. I have not seen this guy for a good couple months. What happened? Did he get the death penalty for fraud? And I really don't like how Nintendo's handling the updates in this game. I don't hate that it's free, I just hate that it's not there from the start, especially since that it was delayed. Still pretty fun though. I don't know how much I can emphasize that I still really like this game. There's just not much to go back to, and I still haven't bought the DLC yet. And like, do you blame me? I barely touch this game anymore. Nowadays I play it on and off, but not as consistently as I used to in the first few months. And I hope I'm not the only one that feels this way, but still, it's great, I like it. You ever play a game that made you want to cry? Mario Party Superstars. They could be tears from a multitude of things. Tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of knowing you're gonna get your star stolen. And yes, that is a threat. Unlike New Horizons, this game doesn't really add anything new to the Mario Party formula. But it doesn't need to because the last 2 games did that and everyone hated it. So what we needed was good old classic Mario Party. So classic that it's basically a tribute to the entire series. A lot of fan favorite boards from the N64 games are here. My 2 favorites being Spaceland and Horrorland. And these boards being in the game means old gimmicks are back. Like Chance Time. I love Chance Time and the fear it instills on everyone's face when someone lands on it, which is just bound to ruin friendships. And speaking of ruining friendships, the mini-games. All of the mini-games are from a previous Mario Party. And like always, they are great. Here's my top 5 if anyone's wondering. Everything here is basically what I love about Mario Party in the first place. Fun boards, fun mini-games, fun ways to start fights. Whenever my friends visit, we always have fun playing it until we all lose our voices. Actually, I take it back, there is something new about this game. Whenever I don't have friends to play with, I could just hop online and play with random people. And that's such a convenient option, I don't know why it took them this long to add it. There's no voice chat, for obvious reasons. But the mere fact I'm able to play Mario Party with whoever I want, whenever I want, automatically makes this the best in the series. Also, it's really weird that this is one of the few Nintendo games on Switch where the online is competent. Couple this with the fact that I could play this wherever I want to, makes it the best by a long shot. It was already the best, but now that it's on the Switch, it's already the best-er. It's not high on the list because it is just Mario Party, but it is a damn good Mario Party at that. So if you don't have Mario Party Superstars, what's wrong with you? Get it, now! This game is for a very niche audience. If you're not in that niche audience, then stay the hell away from this game. But since I am in that niche audience, holy fuck! This game has so many things to do besides the main game, it's amazing. And it never gets boring because the combat's also amazing. Not only are there systems within the combat in depth, with being able to customize my weapon, stats, and skill tree, but whenever I land an attack, I feel that impact, which rarely happens in RPGs. The game also looks stunning as all hell. Even though it's on a system as unique like the Switch, it's probably one of the best looking games we'd see on the system. Walking through sites like Mont Ardain is an absolute highlight to me. And not to spoil anything, the story and characters were a treat to experience firsthand. This game is pretty much perfect, but if you're not a hardcore JRPG fan, you won't like this game. I promise you, don't pick it up.
I thought this was a top 10 list. Why are you telling people not to buy shit?
Well, it's because people who buy this game land in two camps. People who love it and people who hate it. In order to fully appreciate the combat, you need to understand what each mechanic does, which goes without saying in RPGs, but there's so many in-depth mechanics that you need to remember. There are weapon points, skill trees, weapon modifications. There are so many different things you need to keep track of in order to not die in battle. And the way the game teaches you these things is halting the progress and giving you a ton of tutorials to understand everything. Look, I like complex bullshit, but a lot of people are understandably not willing to put up with reading tutorials every 10 minutes to understand how to play the game. And they're all important. Like, I skipped a tutorial once in my first playthrough, and for a good chunk of the game I didn't know that there was one blade that all the other stat increasing methods didn't apply on. And after I found out, they were my favorite party member. The game is super customizable and I love that about it. But in order to get into it, you need to understand what happens and what you need to do, and it can be very challenging. There's also a lot of fan service moments that can turn a lot of people off.
Kai, please stop before this channel gets turned to a hashtag.
Now, I'm not going to show any of the really bad examples in this game, but look at it this way. This is what Pyra and Mithra look like in Smash, and this is what they look like in Xenoblade 2. Do you get it yet? Do you grasp the concept? But this game is honestly really good, and if you don't have an issue with any of the flaws I mentioned, then please pick it up. It is a JRPG fan's JRPG. You know, I'm starting to get a good look at your chair. How are you sitting down?
I'm not.
Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I got a new chair. Splatoon 3 is coming out later this year, and it's probably going to be better than the second one. So just take everything I say about Splatoon 2 and just apply it to 3. Boom, problem solved. I don't know why people say content creation is hard. This is easy. I put over like 1,000 hours into the first game on Wii U, so of course I was excited to get the sequel. And yeah, I put a lot of hours into it, but like, I think because of how much time I spent on the first game, I got kinda Splatooned out, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Splatoon 2 adds a bunch of new content and quality of life features, like how in the first game you weren't able to play it on the gamepad, you had to play it on the TV and use the gamepad as a map. Now in this one, you only need one screen and you can pull up the map with a button. That's like my favorite change, but it wasn't that big, you know? That's not to say that there's not any new stuff in it. There's new maps and new weapon types. My favorite being the dualies, which lets you roll and evade enemy attacks, and the Splatbrella, which functions as a shotgun and a shield. And these new weapon types come with new subs and specials. So obviously that's better. But the base game itself is just the same as Splatoon 1. You shoot the floor to cover the most area, and whoever has the most wins. And it's obviously better than the first one, but because I put so many hours into the first one, it didn't take that long to get bored of the basic turf wars. And that's where the other two modes come in, Ranked Mode and Salmon Run. Ranked has different modes that have you doing different things other than shooting at the floor, such as shoot the smaller floor, shoot the smaller and moving floor, pick up the stuff on the floor by shooting at it, and my personal favorite, get the bazooka and pretend everybody is the floor. And there's one big flaw with Ranked Mode. I'm not very good at it. I know it's more of a me thing, but like, I just cannot play this. These modes require a different amount of skills that I just do not have, but whenever I'm just having fun, it's nice. Except when I start going down ranks, which is not nice. And then we have the other mode, Salmon Run, which is without a doubt the best addition to this game. It's basically Call of Duty Zombies, except you don't choose what weapon you have, and I know nothing of Call of Duty Zombies, but it's fun when you're playing with people who know what they're doing. And while all these new additions are nice, this game doesn't change enough to make it different enough from Splatoon 1. Salmon Run isn't there permanently, it shows up only in certain times of the day. You can change your weapon at the end of a match now, but you still can't leave the match while you're waiting for it to start. Leveling up takes so much longer than the first one. Like, I'm 26 even though I played this game since 2017, and to top it all off, the story is basically the same as the first one, which is why I never completed it. Lots of little things add up to make this not as big of a sequel as it should be, but at the end of the day, it's still super fun. Like, the only reason why I rank this game higher than Xenoblade 2 is because whenever I pick it up, I always have a lot of fun with it. It's just that I don't have a lot of reasons to pick it up again, and when I do, it's always a great time. At times. Shin Megami Tensei 5 is actually a really good game if you don't have dudes in your ear telling you the new games are mid. A lot of people are comparing this game to Persona since they are in the same series, and even though I do love that series, I want to keep comparisons to a minimum. Instead, I'm gonna compare it to SMT Nocturne. I played Nocturne a few months ahead of time to get prepared for 5, and it was a great game, I loved it. But SMT 5 is such an improvement, it's insane. Let's start with the combat. The thing that makes SMT special compared to every other turn-based RPG is how bullshit it can be. Everything you can do, the enemies can do. If you get a lucky crit and kill all the enemies, then they can get a lucky crit and then kill your entire team. And it can feel demoralizing, but that is the point. Anytime you find a new demon to recruit, you can fuse them with your other demons and then make even stronger demons. You can cover your weaknesses, you can find new strategies. Make it hard as possible to turn the tables against you. And that's the beauty of the combat. It's never impossible, even though it feels like it at times. It kinda reminds me of Elden Ring in that aspect. That's right, I'm comparing this game to everything but Persona, even resorting to the classic Dark Souls comparison. Plus, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring and I wanted to bring it up. And just like Elden Ring, the things to help you improve is all over the world. The exploration is kinda simple for an RPG. The main thing you can do is fight demons and look for items. But the two big things about this are the mini-bosses and the Mimons. The mini-bosses, also known as abscesses, are littered all over the world, and once you beat them, you get these things called miracles, and they help buff up the main party leader. Also, side note, this is probably one of my favorite SMT designs, only being rivaled by the Demi-Fiend. And the Mimons are little demons that are scattered all over the world. And once you find them, they give you glory, which you can use to purchase miracles. Even though there's not much to do, the game gives you enough reason to explore the world, which is all I really ask for at the end of the day. And this is probably one of the biggest strengths of SMT5, the atmosphere. Best summary of the story I can give is that there was a war between Satan and God, and Satan won, and what we're looking at is the aftermath of the battle. And that feeling of dread never leaves as you're playing. The world is empty, there are ruined structures everywhere, not to mention the demons running around. And the music! After knowing everything about the atmosphere and background, you're probably wondering how the story is. And that, my friend, is the weakest part about this game. The story is so laughably bare bones, I expected this from a Pokemon game. And that's depressing considering SMT is kinda known for its good stories. It's just disappointing considering this game is like 60 hours long. But since I only played Nocturne, the story isn't really that important to me. All I really cared about is the world design and the combat, and SMT5 nails both of them. And in one of the DLCs, you can fight the Demi-Fiend. That's so cool even though I didn't buy it. But still, Shin Megami Tensei 5 is an amazing RPG, and is a wonderful inclusion to the Switch library. Fire Emblem Three Houses is actually a really good game when you don't have dudes in your ear telling you the entire series is mid. I got into the series with Awakening, and I loved it. I also played Fates when it came out, and I didn't love it as much. And after playing a couple other games in the series, because I'd get yelled at if I didn't, I can confidently say that Three Houses is the best. It is not a contest. A major reason for this are the characters. The roster is noticeably smaller than most other Fire Emblem games, but what it lacks in quantity makes up for in quality. Since I spent so much time with them throughout the game, they ended up being some of the most memorable characters in the series for me. I chose the Black Eagles first because I thought their students were the most interesting out of the three. And they are. We have the leader, the emo one, the shy one, the smart one, the lazy one, the loud one, the Ferdinand von Ayer one, and the foreign one. In the other games, I only got to see my characters in combat or in story cutscenes. But Three Houses lets me interact with my units in a multitude of ways, which links perfectly into the gameplay. This game mixes up the Fire Emblem formula by having two different phases, the school phase and the battle phase. The school phase gives you a giant hub world to explore, letting you do basically whatever you want. You can do basic tasks like growing vegetables and fishing, or you can take the time to get to know the students and teachers, and you can recruit students from the other houses. It's a great way to unwind after a long battle. And unlike in the other games where you play as a tactician, you take up the role as a professor, being able to teach your students different weapon types. Like if a student really likes to use axes, I can force them to learn how to use a bow or ride a Pegasus. This lets me fully customize my units in any way I desire, which is the perfect segue for the battle phase. This is just your standard Fire Emblem, move your units on a grid and attack the enemies. But for spending time in teaching your units, it's so satisfying seeing them perform well in battles, watching them level up and get better at using the weapons you gave them. It's a really nice touch that makes this game a whole lot better. And the thing that ties this all together is the story. One big story split into 4 different plot lines depending on which house you chose. It gives different perspectives on the different sides of war and how there's really no winners. It's so well executed compared to Fates, where it's like there's one clear good side and there's one clear good ending. But with 3 houses, it's so much more complex and tragic. It gives me Attack on Titan vibes, and that's great because that's one of my favorite shows. Couple this with fully voiced dialogue and some of the best music I've heard in the series, and you can see why I like this game so much. It's so different from every other Fire Emblem game while still making it distinctly Fire Emblem. Hell, my favorite parts of the game is when it's not Fire Emblem. Take that as you will. But this is the most accessible Fire Emblem's ever been, and I think anyone could jump into it. So if you're one of those Smash fans that hates Byleth with a passion, play the game they come from, and you might not even mind their inclusion. Maybe. I don't know, you guys are pretty bitter. Super Mario Odyssey makes me really appreciate how good 3D Mario can be, and how a game can keep my attention for hours on end. Just like its 3D predecessors, that being 64 and Sunshine, it gives you a giant sandbox to explore and with tons of collectibles, but it expands upon that tenfold. For one, the worlds are obviously bigger and with tons of things to collect, but the main collectible, Power Moons, are scattered everywhere in the map. Every nook and cranny is hiding a Power Moon. It can have you doing something big like beating a boss, or it can be as small as chasing a rabbit. Hold up, give me a sec. Man, my hair is nappy. That may seem like a negative, but it encourages you to explore everywhere on the map to make sure you're not missing anything. Plus, you have multiple ways of accessing these moons, especially with this game's gimmick, Cappy. You can throw the hat, bounce on it, attack enemies with it. Cappy gives you so many options of movement that it makes it kinda hard to go back to the old games now. The main thing that makes Cappy the best gimmick is its ability to possess almost anything. If it has a bald spot, you can take control of it and it's amazing. Some of my favorite transformations are the Goombas, the Gushins, the Cheep Cheep, the Tank, and my personal favorite, the Piranha Plant. It does nothing. It makes me happy. With so many Power Moons in every world and so many options of movement and combat, the game feels fresh and fun whenever I pick it back up. One minute I'm a chain chomp breaking some walls, and the next I'm destroying everything in my path as a T-Rex. Every world gave me that feeling of wonder. What kind of platforming challenges am I gonna do? What am I gonna possess next? And what kind of people am I gonna meet? Every world is so distinct mechanically and visually. Like the Metro Kingdom has realistic humans, and the Luncheon Kingdom has living forks. That's so charming. Hell, everything about this game is charming. Everyone in this game is wearing a hat. The first kingdom you see are filled with hat ghosts. The ship you travel in is a big hat. The first time I played this game, I could not stop smiling the entire time. I love this game, and it made me appreciate Mario on a whole new level. I don't know how Nintendo will top this, but I need more of this. The fact that we didn't get DLC for this makes me sad. Hell, I wouldn't mind a Galaxy 2 type situation where the DLC turns into a full game. Just give me more of this. Only thing that's holding this game back from top 3 is that I had better experiences with the games above it. Super Mario Odyssey is one of the best platformers I've ever played by far. You know what I said about Odyssey with how hard it was to adjust to the older games now? Yeah, with this one, I can't go back now. I mean, I love them, but the amount of changes and improvements Pokemon Legends Arceus made, I'm sorry, but it just feels so archaic now. That also means that there's no turning back. They have to keep evolving at this point. I never had this much fun playing through a Pokemon game than Black and White. Which isn't that surprising since this is the most unique entry in the mainline series. This game takes place during a time where people are scared of Pokemon, where they didn't even know how to catch them. Which means no Pokemon League, which also means no gym battles to speak of. The main goal of the game is to fill out the very first Pokedex, which means you're going to be interacting with Pokemon a lot. All you really need to do is catch them, but you could do this in a multitude of ways. You could battle them like normal, You know, if you're boring as fuck, but you could sneak up on it, lure it using berries, snipe it while riding a giant fish. It gives you a ton of options. All of these, I need to mention, you could just throw it at them. What used to be an action done by shifting through a ton of menus can now just be thrown with a single button. And that changes so much about the flow of the action. It just makes things so seamless. But you cannot just throw your own items, but you can throw your own Pokemon. You can throw them at materials lying around in the overworld so you can use them for crafting and stuff. Or you can throw your Pokemon at another Pokemon to initiate a battle. The battles are the most reminiscent of the old games, with a few tweaks here and there. You still got type advantages and you still only get 4 moves. But when you choose a move, you're able to do Agile or Strong Style. Strong Style makes a move hit harder, but your opponent then gets 2 turns, leaving you vulnerable. While Agile Style lets you move twice, but your moves do less. Who said there could be strategy in my single player Pokemon game? And you'll need to abuse this because this game is actually pretty challenging. I have lost track of the amount of times my team has fainted to an Alpha Wild Pokemon. Oh yeah, there's these things called Alpha Pokemon, where as soon as they see you, they will do everything in their power to fuck you up. Which is great, they added fear to this series now. And there's so many changes ranging from small to massive that just makes this game one of the best in the series and on the console itself. The only thing, and I cannot stress this enough, the only thing that I don't like about this game is the visuals. I guess the story isn't nothing to write home about either, but I can handle a mediocre story. That's just par for the course for this series. But I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say I've seen Roblox games look better than this. At times it can be pretty, at other times, oh my god. I'm not usually a stickler for graphics, but the Crimson Mirrorlands might be one of the ugliest areas I've ever been to. Like, in any game ever. But I mean this 100%. If the visuals was actually like Breath of the Wild standards, this would be a contender for Game of the Year. As a longtime fan of the series, this is everything I've wanted from a Pokemon game. So even though visually this game is pretty embarrassing for the highest grossing media franchise, content-wise, this is top 3 Pokemon games for me. Only being beaten out by Black and White 1 and 2. So go get it to tell Game Freak that we want more games like this. Pokemon Legends Arceus may be great, but I have to ask, does it have Sora from Kingdom Hearts? What's that? It doesn't? Well, she. Guys, I'm editing this. I don't know how this is happening. I don't know what's gonna happen. Do you know? We are never gonna get a game like Smash Ultimate again. Like how Mario Party Superstars was a celebration of the series, Smash Ultimate is a celebration of video games in general. Even though there has been crossovers with tons of different IPs like Fortnite, it has never been done with such care as Smash Ultimate. It's just this feeling you get with every character, not just third parties. And they managed to do this with over 90 characters and over 100 stages. Like, am I the only one that's still mind blown by this? Like, I'm still in awe that we have Minecraft Steve in this game. Minecraft is in Smash. It happened like almost a year ago, and I'm still happy about this. There was an actual moment where I legit believed that Doom guy would get in Smash. And that's just what Smash is about, making people's dreams come true. Ultimate may have one of the most lacking single player experiences in any Smash game, and the online is probably the worst on the Switch. But you know what?
I don't care!
Because whenever my friends want to play something on the console, we always boot up Smash first, because it just has that power over people. And none of this would matter if this game was terrible. But man, this is one of the best fighting games I've ever played. Even though there's over 80 characters, the balancing is some of the best we've seen in a Smash game. There's no obvious broken S-tier character, or at least no one as good as Melee Fox or 4 Bayonetta, and even some of the worst characters are somewhat viable, and there's so many neat inclusions that just add to the multiplayer. Stage morphs switching between 2 stages, all of the new items, assist trophies, and Pokemon, and the final Smash meter. And yes, this is the best thing ever. Playing it with items or competitively, it's still a fun time. Nintendo sacrificed basically every other thing in this game just to make the multiplayer the best on Switch. And even if all the problems bum me out at times, I can't stay mad. 2 of my favorite video game franchises growing up are in the same game. I've seen people buy Switches just to play this game, and honestly, it is not hard to see why. Hell, after I upload this, I'm probably gonna hit my friends up to play Smash. It's a phenomenal game that we're probably never gonna get again, so enjoy it while we still have it. March 3rd, 2017, the release date for the Nintendo Switch. Nintendo was faced with the question, after the failure of the Wii U, how do we make people buy our next console? And what did they come up with? You know, just make one of the greatest games ever made a launch title. think anyone's gonna argue with me that Breath of the Wild is one of the greatest games ever made. It's not even my top 10, but I still believe this. Even if you don't believe that, you have to at least agree it's one of the best open world games out there. Breath of the Wild provides the one thing that a lot of others in this genre failed to do, and that's to give you freedom. This game only gives you one objective: destroy Ganon. And as soon as you leave the tutorial area, the land is yours to roam. You can do basically whatever you want from this point forward. Hell, if you're feeling ballsy, you can just take the fight to Ganon right away. But since I'm not a masochist, I just chose a direction to walk to, and then I went. The game does push you into the right direction, like go to this village or go to these 4 areas, but you don't have to go there. The game just kinda leaves you to your own devices. You could just walk in one general direction and find so many cool stuff to help you on your journey. Hey, I found an enemy base. Hey, they had a new weapon. Hey, I found a horse. I got the horse. Hey, I found a shrine on the way. I beat the puzzle. I got a spirit orb. Hey, I have enough so I can get a new heart. I changed my mind to get more stamina. Hey, a cool mountain I can climb. With my new stamina upgrade, I'm able to climb it now. Wow, look at that view. Hey, is that a shrine down there? Instead of the story telling you where to go, you go wherever you want and you just progress naturally. The best way I could describe this is like anytime I pick up my Switch and I started playing it, it felt like a new episode of a TV show I was watching. Where no matter what I did, it meant something. I was progressing in a meaningful way, even if the progression is kinda small in retrospect. But still, I never experienced something like this in a game before. This game lacks a lot of Zelda traditions, like there's no unique weapon varieties, like there's no top spinning or no ball on chains, and there's only 4 main dungeons that all look the same. And instead of unique items only used in specific locations, you got 4 main items that you can use basically however you want. And I've seen this game broken in half with these tools. But for everything this game does wrong, it does 20 things right. Having the tools to do whatever you want, having a bunch of smaller things to do on the side, having a bunch of side quests, makes this the type of game where you put 100 hours into it and it feels like you only put 20. And I think this is like the only game where it actually benefits on being on the Switch. Taking this massive adventure with you anywhere you want, that just makes it the perfect launch title. And it perfectly showcases what makes the Switch so special. And for that, it has to be number 1. It just has to. And I don't think anyone will be mad at that. So, moral of the story? Damn, I don't have one. I'm gonna just go back to talk about Elden Ring again.